Am I the a-hole for respecting a worker's stated boundaries, leading to lower raises and bonuses than her coworker? I manage a small team of 2 people, we'll call Jack and Jill, in a contracts department of a manufacturer. I hired both of them myself, as shortly after being promoted to manage the group after my then-boss left, both of my direct reports left. One because he retired, the other because she got pregnant and decided to be a stay-at-home mom. It was a struggle at first, since Jack and Jill were new to the company, but we quickly got into what I thought was a good place. They've both worked for me for 2 years. Jack is a single guy, no kids. Jill is also single, but explained to me in her interview 2 years ago that she is a mom to a 5-year-old, and work-life balance was extremely important to her. She said she'd give 100% during the scheduled working hours, 8:30 to 5, of which 1/2 hour is lunch, but that she would not work extra hours, wouldn't take work home, wouldn't work weekends, and couldn't travel. I hired her with that understanding. We have a lot of routine work that can just be done anytime, part of the reason I can respect Jill's boundaries. But sometimes projects come along that require immediate attention. For example, we're in the Eastern time zone, and a contract may come in at 4 p.m., our time from our West Coast team, and they may want it reviewed and turned around that same day, with whoever does the review being available for follow-up into the early evening, as they're trying to close the deal. Jill can't take those projects because of her strict 5 p.m. limitation, so I either do them myself, or if Jack is willing and able to do them, he takes some of them. To be clear, I do not dump all of these on Jack. I do my share of after-hours work. I thought this arrangement was working well. Both Jack and Jill are skilled, competent workers, and if they both work the same hours, their output would be almost identical. However, because Jack is willing to put in extra hours, maybe 5 to 10 hours more per week, he gets more done. I've also sent him on some trips for on-site negotiations with clients that required overnight travel, which Jill can't do. The result is that, while I hired them at the same salary, Jack has received slightly higher raises and bigger year-end bonuses than Jill. Although I didn't think Jill knew this since we don't share this information, and I doubt Jack told her. This all came to a head when I was called into HR after Jill's most recent performance review to close out her 2nd year. As I did the first time, I rated her successful. We only have 3 options: needs improvement, successful, and outstanding. We also are limited overall within the company to no more than 10% outstanding. And since I only have 2 direct reports, I have to lobby just to get even 1 outstanding. The first year I rated them both successful, and this year I rated Jack outstanding and Jill successful. If I had to pick between the 2, Jack is going to get the higher rating every time because of his willingness to go above and beyond the call when needed. Jill was upset that she was being penalized, her words, for her work boundaries. Somehow she had learned that Jack got bigger raises and bonuses than she did. Again, I don't know how she learned this. Maybe Jack told someone else what he made, and this got back to Jill through the grapevine. I said yes, that's because he does more work, because he is willing and able to stay late and work weekends, when we're in a crunch, etc. Jill said it was her understanding that she was allowed to work 8:30 to 5 Monday to Friday, and that's it. I said yes, I agreed to that when she was hired, and she is a good worker and I love having her on the team. But that shouldn't mean I couldn't reward someone who objectively did more work than she did, because they didn't have those same strict boundaries. She asked how she could become outstanding, and I looked at the HR rep and said, if we're limited to 10% outstanding, I don't see how Jill would ever be outstanding as long as Jack is here, unless she suddenly becomes way more efficient, or he suddenly becomes less so, because they do equally good work but he does more of it. The HR rep then said, I understand, asked Jill to leave, and then reamed me for what I said, saying employee ratings weren't just about hours worked. I said I agree, but in this case, their work is the same quality. Their clients both like them equally, etc. I have no basis to rate one over the other, except the fact that one is willing to put in more time, unpaid, since we're all on salary, and that I would stand by giving Jack bigger raises and bonuses and a higher rating every time. The HR rep said my bias against a single mom was showing, and I said, what? And walked out. None of this made any sense to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You put yourself in a corner by using hours worked as a metric. It should be about output. Jack is clearly going above and beyond and qualifying for outstanding, while Jill is doing what she's supposed to do. So she's successful, that's clear as day. But yeah, you went about it the wrong way by even mentioning hours worked. You should have very concrete metrics for your ratings, how many contracts did they handle, etc. Look at output. If she can't stay longer because she's a single mom, she is arguing that she should not be penalized for having a work boundary. HR made a big mistake in not talking to you first about your answer and critiquing it or brainstorming it. HR only cares about not being sued and doing things legally. They are worried about discrimination. OP should reach out to the same HR person and set up a meeting. Ask why she was not given a meeting with HR alone before the meeting with all three parties. Then request one the next time you have an HR complaint. Also go through all the answers you are getting on Reddit. There are a lot of great ones here, and ask which one would be best if/when it happens next year. OP very clearly states their efficiency is almost identical. Jack works more hours, therefore his output is higher. This was clearly stated in what OP wrote. But that shouldn't mean I couldn't reward someone who objectively did more work. One of a number of times OP has explicitly stated more work that directly and unambiguously refers to output. Yeah, this is apparently where I messed up, according to Reddit. It is true that in the HR meeting, I discussed Jack working more hours. It's also true that, because the work they do in the same amount of time is roughly equal, he is producing more output. To me, it's silly that I have to play these semantic games around output versus hours. If Jill had asked, or we had advertised, for a part-time position where she only worked 30 hours a week instead of 40, I presume she would have expected to get paid less than someone performing a similar role but working 40 hours a week. Then if it turned out she was a superstar who could do in 30 hours what someone else did in 40, I would, as a good manager, have to figure out how to compensate her appropriately. But if, as one would expect, she simply produced 75% of what the 40-hour worker did, no one would be surprised or upset that she was paid differently. So I guess I don't understand why it's a surprise to anyone when someone who works 45 to 50 hours in an average week is paid differently. Especially when I'd be more than happy to give her the same opportunity, except she expressed at the outset that she didn't want it. Again, I get that at the end of the day, it's about output, not hours. But as I said, the nature of the work is such that more hours pretty much automatically translates into more output. I think I should be given enough credit that I am capable of recognizing the difference between an employee who is working more hours and getting more done versus an employee who stretches 8 hours of work a day into 10 hours and therefore appears to be working more but really isn't doing more. Next story. Am I the a-hole for turning up to run lit up like a Christmas tree? I'm not entirely sure I am in the wrong here just because of how strongly some people feel about it. My coworker, let's call her Anna, is just getting into running and asked if I would join her for a run one night after work. I agreed, as I am an avid runner. We went for the run last week and only managed 5 minutes before Anna called it, refusing to do any more with me because of how I was dressed. As it was dark, I had on my running vest that had clip-on lights on both sides, and my head torch so I could see where I was running. I also had some reflective panels on my clothing. Anna told me that I looked ridiculous lit up like a Christmas tree, and that she wasn't going to be seen with me dressed the way I was. Anna had dark clothing on with just some thin reflective strips. I told Anna that I take my safety when running at night seriously, because I was hit by a car 2 years ago when running. I didn't see the car as it came around the corner at speed, nor did they see me. It took me months to just get back on my feet, and I'm still not running the mileage I used to. I used to run without any lights and was just reliant on the small reflective panels on my clothes. Someone in our work group chat, it's a social chat not work-related, asked how the run went and asked if we were now going to have a team running club. Anna posted that the run didn't go to plan because I was dressed ridiculously, but that she loved the idea of having a team running club. Somebody else asked if I was wearing my lights, as he'd seen me in them before, then asked Anna if she knew why I ran with lights. Anna told him that it didn't matter because it was embarrassing. People were chiming in about whether it was embarrassing or not that I had lights on. Anna then commented that if I needed to be lit up like a Christmas tree to feel safe when running at night, then I should just buy a treadmill. I removed myself from the group chat after that comment, as I'd had enough and didn't want to engage with it. I get that to Anna it was embarrassing, but she didn't need to drag me through the group chat over it. I never publicly criticized her for her outfit, though I did offer her my spare headlight if she wanted it. Not the a-hole. You got hit by a car before, and you're just trying to not die on a night run, and she turned it into some weird public humiliation bit. Her being embarrassed doesn't trump your safety. Removing yourself from the chat was the only sane move. Not the a-hole. Anna is unfortunately a horrible person. I don't understand her embarrassment and absolutely don't understand her bullying. She should be embarrassed, but because of her own shallowness and unkindness. Anna is a B. Go running with other co-workers who aren't a B. And when Anna gets hit by a car while running in the dark, buy her a light as a get-well gift. My daughter's best friend was hit and killed walking across the street in broad daylight. One time at night, I saw a dude on a bike get hit by a car. If he hadn't been on that bike, he would have been dead. I was shocked when he got up off the street. 1 second, and it's all over. As a driver in the dark Midwestern winter, I appreciate runners like you. It makes my life so much easier and prevents terrible tragedies. Not the a-hole, but Anna sure is. As was said above, run with people who aren't bees. Anna sounds like she's 13. I can't tell you how many times people in my neighborhood walking around early morning or evening in winter when it's dark AF outside, and I can't see them until I'm right up on them. We don't have sidewalks, urban, so some are in the shoulder, that drivers also use regularly to go around cars turning left, and others literally in the road when there is no shoulder. My heart races for like half an hour. When I see cyclists or pedestrians wearing reflective gear, I am so thankful that they take precautions. Keep doing what you're doing, OP. Last story. My neighbors kept blocking the driveway to my garage, so I called council and got them towed. Am I the a-hole? Any advice? I moved to this house 4 months ago. I noticed a van parked entirely in front of the driveway, so I had to park far away and move in, walking my things through the rain. Very annoying. I settled in, and over those weeks, different cars kept parking in front of my driveway. Finally, I was gardening out the front when I saw the neighbor park his van in front of my driveway. I went up to him and introduced myself kindly and said I noticed he and, I think, his guests kept parking in front of my driveway. I wasn't sure if he had an arrangement with the previous tenants, but could he stop because I would like to use it? He looked shocked and said, "Oh, can your car even fit in the garage?" I said yes. For context, this is in the metro area of Sydney, a street full of old houses with tiny, narrow garages. Most people on our street don't use their actual garages, but instead park in front of their driveways. I know this is illegal. I would like to do the same with my driveway, and I think that even if I want to use my narrow garage once in a blue moon, I should have access to it. Since then, cars often still block or partially block my driveway. There is usually street parking anyway, but occasionally I have to park 200 meters away with heavy groceries or in the rain. So I have left a total of 5 notes on their cars when they block the driveway. The first couple of notes were nice and friendly, simply asking them to stop and that I need 24/7 access to the garage. The last 3 were more stern. They have a huge renovated driveway with 2 entries and auto fences, and they don't always use it. Often they just park in front of it. However, they are a huge family with 6 cars and a huge boat, plus always have guests and parties. I couldn't care less, but stop using my driveway. For some reason, entitlement, his wife parks her huge truck half blocking my driveway again, this time leaving it for 3 days. Today it was 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. I got home from the beach with a ton of things, and her car is still there, and their guests are taking up the rest of the close street parking. Annoyed, I decided to leave the note, but this time I took pics and reported it to council. I was unsure what would come of it. Unexpectedly, council came immediately and towed the car. I don't know what I expected, but I thought maybe they'd just talk to them, send a letter, or give a fine. I believe they will know it was me who reported them to council. Now I feel like they are going to try and confront me or do something because they seem like those kinds of people. I am a 29 female but look a lot younger. My housemates are 24 and 25 female, so I feel like they thought they could just do what they wanted and assumed we would be too intimidated. After they disregarded you the first time, I would have informed counsel then. Thank you. I actually did a couple of times, but I didn't take pictures, so maybe that's why they didn't come immediately like they did today. And if they keep blocking your driveway, take pictures and tow them each time. Eventually, they'll get tired of the financial consequences and the process of getting their vehicle back. Not the a-hole, it's refreshing to hear that local council did something useful. Also Aussie here, and when I had someone part across my driveway and I couldn't get out to go to work, I called the police and they said they couldn't do anything. It was nighttime, but I still wouldn't have thought to call council. Well played. I know, I was surprised. I have contacted them twice before and nothing came of it, but maybe because it was the third time and I had pictures they could see this a recurring issue. Or maybe they just had a quiet day. This happened to me in the past. A neighbor kept parking across my drive, even when my car was on it. I caught them doing it one day and confronted them. They said they could park wherever they liked because they were a nurse. Not sure what that gave them permission to park where they liked, but that's what they claimed. Anyway, it was still there the following morning when I needed to go to work, so I called the council and they towed it. She never did it again. If they confront you over it, just tell them tough. They've no right to park there. If they did, the council wouldn't have towed them. They're in the wrong and have no right to complain. Tell them if they do it again, you'll do it again. You're not the one being an unpleasant neighbor, they are.